Hey everybody, I'm Matt Hill. I'm fortunate to always bring you guys exciting guests and friends of mine. There's so many people out there that we all should aspire to get to know. Networking has never been more important in our industry. There's so much happening, and I really hope you get something out of this. I always do. Introduce yourself.
Hey, my name's Leigh Haas. I'm from Keene, Mississippi originally, and I run Mockingbird Land Services, a land firm out of the Gulf Coast. And thank
I
you, Matt, for
think
having me.
I think Mockingbird. Oh man, I'm so honored. We've touched base several times, and I've been putting you on my bucket list of a interview.
Well, I
We all
appreciate that.
talk about it, and I'm such a proponent of more diversity in our energy industry. And the
Hmm.
fact that women, whatever the position might be. But if I'm just talking to my homies in this little silo, what if I miss something by not having a fresh set of eyes on it? So, you
Yeah,
know, we think about that often, and you bring a lot of important perspectives to any conversation. So, thanks for all you do. Man,
thank you.
how did you, tell me your whole background, or, well, I know it, but, tell everybody else out
Yeah. Well, I started out in politics, and I guess you could say, we've talked about this. I'm the oldest of five kids, the oldest daughter. So I feel like I was born with managing with a clipboard and Twinkies. So that my dad always said I could talk paint off a wall, and mom always said that I'd never take no for an answer. I didn't know those were going to be job skills, but they wound up. That's kind of what turned me into politics. Is I've always been very good at connecting people and talking. So I went into politics, and I worked for the Mississippi House of Representatives under he was then Lieutenant Governor Tate Reeves. He's now governor. And then I ran a congressional campaign for a United States congressman. He was a 22-year congressman for the on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. Then I wound up living in New Orleans for 10 years working for land service firms. Had no idea about the intricate details of what happens before a pipeline, before a pipe goes into the ground or before a transmission line gets built. However, that kind of, and I threw it, I was thrown into it with no prior knowledge or experience, and help scale companies, from 90 to 350. And one of the second project I ever worked was a 600-mile long, 5-state, FERC regulated pipeline project. So and I worked with all these land agencies, landmen, these right-of-way professionals for the next 10 years, and built up this network of these brilliant people who were very supportive. And I was negotiating these pay rates and these job locations with these I call them like the Jedi Knights of negotiators. Like, I had no idea. And it wasn't until, I look back on it, like, I had no idea. I was negotiating with like the top dogs of negotiating and had no idea what. So, when I say I know how to talk to people, and I know, I even say the landmen ruined my dating life at one point, because, you can smell bullshit from a mile away now. I call them like, porch therapist and, or fence
Oh,
post,
didn't ruin it. I know you're doing okay right now.
yeah, yeah, but still, it's hard to get by now. They're they've taught me more about life than anything, and they've always been very supportive. So, when I decided to go out on my own, because no founder does this because they really, there's some story or some necessity that or gap that somebody's trying to fill, and the one I'm trying to fill is the bringing back the human aspect of the oil or of the energy industry. People are reduced to bill rates, and they're not just line items on a spreadsheet. And so that's really what I'm trying to do is I've got this network of land professionals, and I've worked 40 states.
I was about to
On
say you're
Yeah,
nationwide with your
yeah, nationwide. I've worked in 40 plus states in everything from solar and wind to natural gas to fiber optic to I'm on an electric transmission committee. And I've been on a Texas Electric Utility Council. And when I say I've done everything from electric transmission to carbon capture to battery storage, you know, it's just being that adaptable chameleon, I guess, and not taking no for an answer.
That's a lot of ground to cover, but right now they're all kind of merging. I mean, I'm sure
Yeah.
you've seen it. We are now not just the oil and gas industry, we're the energy industry, we're the
Yeah.
solutions industry.
The
All this
silos aren't
stuff.
working anymore.
No,
And as you know, with the safety side of it, that's how people keep getting killed is when nobody shares or talks about their pain points. And I think there's a level of vulnerability and also accountability in sharing these stories and calling out the industry for the things that we need to get better at.
what are you excited about the most right now? I mean, I love that we as an industry are bringing natural gas as high up as we can on everybody's
Yeah.
visibility to ensure that the energy demand of the next generation are met with right now. I mean, and I'm not saying that nuclear will not catch up quickly, but as of right now, we have natural gas. We have the ability to go out and find
Yeah.
the resources and harvest them and produce them to where we can all use them affordably, reliably and abundantly. And that's going to give us all the data centers and hopefully the microgrids. We
Yeah.
can power best systems. I mean, on and on and
And I've
on.
I've talked about that a little bit. I'm excited about the data centers, and I'm honestly I'm excited about the energy industry altogether because but my bread and butter has always been for the longest time it was natural gas. So I was working these natural gas pipelines all over the country, and then when the last administration came through, that's when you really learned it's a kill or be killed, or I guess you could say, or like who could hang with the big dogs because we were, had all these land professionals and, we were doing carbon capture and battery storage and solar. I thought I almost lost a client once because I called it a windmill. I didn't know it was a turbine. I'm excited for the idea for the opportunities that are coming about with natural gas coming back. I think to energize these data centers, you can't do, they're building 8 in Mississippi alone, my tiny state. How are they going to power these? Unless they're going to, and I've worked with, nuclear power engineers over the last year and on the safety side of things. So I'm a proponent of nuclear too, but it's not going to, like you said, it's going to take a little bit
It's going
longer.
to take a minute. Yeah.
So I am definitely, and I've worked these FERC regulated pipelines, these smaller ones, like I said, 6 states, or 5 states, a 600-mile long, natural gas line. And then working some of the most remote areas in the country too on natural gas. So I'm definitely excited about the opportunity, and it's the longevity of the projects. I'm excited about how much work there is out there, and the opportunities for, if these natural gas lines, the job cycles last a little longer. So people can breathe a little. They don't have to be worried about getting cut in 6 weeks and finding a new job. The natural gas lines, they take a little longer, and it's also an opportunity to train the next generation of land professionals as well, which I think there's a lot that needs to be done there. But being able to shadow people and learn from the the landmen that are retiring out or choosing to go else, their next phase of their life. The natural gas is where I think the new, the greener land agents are going to be able to learn the best.
Are you seeing a lot of availability for jobs to, like, hey, if you're interested in land, I think, now would be a good time to, start looking to get back into land.
Yeah, I think
for
that
a
there's
long time that was scary, right? Like, hey, I don't know if there's going to be a spot for you.
Yeah, no, and I think it's a little bit of the land companies like myself, and it's going to be it's going to take a little bit of risk on both sides. You're but people, these some of the legacy firms got to realize you can't, like, people are retiring, and you've got to take risk on these younger people, like myself included. Taking risk is a big part of it, and you're only going to be as good as the people you teach, and so that's why I think we've got to. There are opportunities, but it's going to take the brokers taking that risk and just trusting their gut to. But otherwise, how else you're going to condense the pool is going to get so tiny of quality people, and they're going to be working for, you can't work for 4 or 5 brokers at a time. You just not sustainable. It's not sustainable long term. So I do think that there are now more than ever, there's opportunities for these younger, or, these least experienced to thrive in this.
Yeah, get underneath somebody's wing, get trained up.
That's kind of what I did.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like
Yeah.
with Mockingbird, I saw a gap and the timing just kind of, it's almost surgical, when I decided to do this, because
you had a little bit more chops that you had to, navigate as well. Like, hey, not only do I have to learn a little bit more about what I do, but also have to learn how to start a business, run a business, make it successful, grow it. I mean, that's a whole nother endeavor, which is impressive.
Yeah. Thank you. I really appreciate it, because it's been the hardest thing I've ever done, but I would do it all over again in a heartbeat, just to, have that kind of freedom. And, I know it's painful, but it's going to be worth it. And if for nothing else, the people that I'm going to be able to work with is, that's really the purpose behind it all.
There's so much we're going to harvest now too, which is exciting for, people with the, land background. Is, our industry is going out to harvest a lot more resources these days than just oil and gas. We're going out to grab helium, we're going out to grab lithium, geothermal. I mean,
the water. I mean,
water. It's really a neat time. There's places all over the country now that, probably haven't had a lot of land, people poking around, and now they're out, in droves all over the map.
Yeah, I say that I started a business in an invisible industry, because a lot of people don't know that the land service side actually exists, but like I try to tell people before, like I said, before a lineman can climb a pole, or you have to cross private property. If any of these companies have to cross private property, you need a land company, you need a landman to do that. You have to negotiate and acquire rights to go on that property. So I just joke about that, because nobody knows what they are. And thanks to that show Landman, now people have some idea that this industry exists. It's not necessarily the most, I would say accurate, but it's good that it's, culturally it's getting out there. That's why I try to write about it. Because I do have that platform where and I love to write. It's like my real outlet. And so I try to talk about the land, service side of the energy industry as much as I can, because it is very, even in the oil and gas sector and the larger, aspect of energy, it's not as talked about. Somebody wants to talk about this. It's the painful side of everything,
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. There's just so much neat stuff I'm seeing. I saw, where Texas is going to build a pipeline from Texas to California for natural gas.
Yeah.
Like, it's about time. I mean, you guys could,
right.
In California, if you didn't know this, you could go and drill your own, gas and oil. But if you'd like a pipeline from Texas, everybody's happy to do that as well. And
what's funny is I actually worked a project, electric transmission line in California, and you have to have your California real estate license to purchase land rights. So each state is different, but California, you actually have to have. So I was having to find California realtors that had land experience to work on the border. It was in the energy sector, so the most vocally anti-energy, I guess you could say. So it was definitely a small feat to accomplish, but so I don't know where I was going with. I had somewhere I was going with that, but that happens a lot where I get. Well,
it's fine. I told you I'd pull you out of the weeds every now and then.
Yeah, thank you. You
have a vast experience, so you're gonna have your brain goes everywhere to help out every subject, right?
Yeah, right. If you ask my boyfriend, he gets annoyed, but it's okay.
That's right. I'll set him straight. The other, I mean, what other areas are you seeing land really taking off right now?
So I'm seeing, on the East Coast, they're talking about, like the Constitution pipeline in New York and New Jersey and Pennsylvania. So I worked that before, and it's exciting to see. That was one of the first projects I'd ever worked back in 2014, and to see now that they're possibly coming back online. Like I'm just as excited about the the rejuvenated projects as I am the new ones. The idea that those are even being talked about, like, Nessie, Constitution, these major projects that went all the way through, almost some of them went through construction. So I'm excited about that. So the East Coast, I'm seeing a lot of movement, and down south, Mississippi's got like $17 billion worth of infrastructure work coming through. And then also, the out west, in Utah, I'm seeing a lot of work out there, New Mexico, and and I've worked out there before. So it's not just the little shale plays anymore. It's they're covering major territories.
We're just in a period of time that I've looked at where we're very fortunate right now that not only is the demand there, the growth in demand is going to be there. Everybody is very well aware just how much the energy demand will grow. And then we are also extremely fortunate that the politics played out the way they are right now. Yeah. And we have a very pro energy, leadership, in places all over, the map that can get things done so that we can, and the whole term drill, baby, drill, as long as everybody kind of keeps in a perspective outside the industry, it's more like build, baby, build.
That's what I like to say is building, building, because, there's a lot more, you want to put up a solar farm, we need energy. However, so, I mean, I know there's, you've got your strong proponents of, oil and gas, and then but when you've done it all, or when you've seen the job crisis with, all the landmen, leaving because they didn't want to do the green movement, it's really just a cyclical beast, and being able to adjust and adapt. And that's, because I'm with you, like the drill, baby, drill thing, that's fine, but, that's not going to cover all of it.
And how do we get the products out once we drill them anyway? We can't do that without the infrastructure of the build, baby, build.
Yeah.
We've got to have the pipelines. We've got to have the transmission lines. We need the data centers built. We need, turbines on locations, being able to tap into gas right there at the wellhead and give power to,
right. These electric cars are not going away. So just, let's just build enough for everybody, and world peace. I think, Matt, we should start a League of Nations, some kind of United Nations type thing.
I mean, I've
peace and harmony to all the energy sectors.
Yeah, all the energy sectors. I mean, I really want there ought to be a Naked and Afraid, series for everybody that doesn't like us. Like, hey, I'll tell you what.
Right.
No, I'm not asking for re-education camps or anything weird like that, but like live without your abundant energy for just one day. And
exactly.
That's like, all right. So you don't hate us as much as you thought, you did. We're not going to stop, and we're not sorry we're giving you abundant energy, but we would like you to let us, get this done for everybody. Human flourishing. It demands
exactly. That's
go to work.
And I think that's where, people like you are so important, because you're bringing the human aspect and the people side back to the energy sector, where it has been so siloed, and also face value, but you're bringing that depth back, and I really appreciate that.
This doesn't have as much value. We already talked about that.
Yeah,
today.
I know, but it does mean a lot, and I think it does. So I'll die on that sword.
I look like a melted candle.
Oh my God, I know. I'm getting that put on a t-shirt. I really am.
What are you excited about? What do you want to do with your platform? I call it. It's not just a business name,
So Mockingbird. It started out, like I said, out of necessity, and it's based off of the values that I find. Just like it's the state bird of 5 states. It's my home state, Mississippi's state bird. They were the last to elect it. Texas was first, but it's I like to say Mockingbird was claimed by many but owned by no one. And that's kind of like, my whole thing is I call myself the reluctant ringleader, because it wasn't something I originally had ever aspired to do, was to be a business owner. But, sometimes you get handed, that hat and you wear it. And I would do it all over again. And I'm excited about the opportunity to help, bring integrity and honesty back to the industry, and, being vulnerable to a degree that people aren't afraid anymore to say, to stand up for themselves, and that accountability that's so desperately needed for like people like you and me who know how important safety is in this industry that people don't talk about like they should, or at least in my opinion. How are we going to fix things if we don't?
There you go. You can help me out there. Like anytime you negotiate a land deal, you have them go ahead and put a fire suppression system on all things.
Exactly.
From construction.
And look at these power plants that are blowing up. And I would love that. And now it's recorded. So
there we go. Hey, everybody, from now on, everything we do in energy is going to be protected by fire suppression systems. And it's good for us.
Exactly.
Trust me.
Look at the pilot for Landman.
Yeah, that was pretty brutal. It did not paint us in the best of light, and that doesn't happen very often, but it will. And the one time it does, right? You're breaking up a little bit. It'll be okay. I'll edit this.
Yeah, you're moving kind of slow.
Our internet just capped us. You're near the mountains. It's probably you. It's not me problem ever on these things.
Yes, let's blame Montana.
Do you have hey, speaking of new technology and data centers,
we don't have lagging internet like this in Mississippi.
No, well, it's lower to the it's the height.
Frozen.
You're closer to the ocean. You got a bigger satellite dish down there, but you'll get Starlink soon enough, right? That might be our show, buddy.
Oh boy, I don't even know how to.
It's okay. You're going to be a series anyway. You promised that every time you guys come to Oklahoma City,
this is consistent with the rest of my life.
That's fine. You know what? You're better in slow-mo.
I promise.
Mockingbird brings it to you in slow-mo too. Hey, I don't want to keep it too long. Obviously, you're going to be a series because women in energy, women in land, you have a lot to bring to the table, and I just want to thank you for doing this for a second with me. I don't do these usually on across the video platforms like people in person, but how do people get a hold of you?
So you can reach me at Leigh, Leigh, at mockingbirdlands.com, or you can reach me on LinkedIn and or Twitter. Might even start an Instagram and TikTok.
She's going to have it all. She's and don't forget Collide. We do need to mention our boys at Collide and any other platform.
Yes, Collide. I am on Collide as well.
If you would like us on your platform, just let us know. I'd be happy to post it for you there. Right. I'll send you the videos. Maybe somebody can produce this better than I can. You're welcome to tap me on the shoulder and help me out. Make sure you follow and support my guests at all times and give her lots of work. She needs lots of work. All right. Our time's running out. Take care. God bless. We'll see you next time.
Understatement of the century.
Any last words?
Bye.
Go Mockingbird. Bye, everybody.